off?
The high level is that we'll be moving towards we'll be getting rid of the agent, like the agent slash agent sandbox slash agent harness CRDs, and replacing them with just two CRDs, harness and an agent template. And basically the agents that you'll be working with will be basically like a product of agent template plus harness. So harness is things like Claude, ADK, whatever it is. It can be anything. And then the agent template is like, MCP skills, etc.
So do we still have the agent CRD?
No.
No? Okay. Oh my gosh.
You mean the existing agents will be replaced by more generic version of harness, which includes the old definition?
Didn't we talk about this last time?
Partially. I didn't get this idea that you are having harness replacing everything. That's new to me.
No, I can go. So the idea is I can.
You mentioned the protocol changes. So basically, we spoke about like.
So there's been changes there too.
With
that I need to, but yeah. So HTTP is going to be. We are still going to replace HTTP with gRPC because I'm tired of maintaining all these HTTP APIs with no schema. But I'll show an example of the new API. So the idea is that you'll have a harness and an agent template, and those will create an actor template in Substrate from which you can create an agent instance. So an example would be like this. You'd have your harness, which would be, let's say in this case, Claude. You can set your environment variables on the harness, the Substrate worker pool, and the allowed templates. And then the agent template is very similar to the agent CRD today, extremely similar. It's basically the same, except it doesn't have the information about how to deploy to K8s because it's not going to deploy to K8s. So instead, it has the skills, the tools, the model config, etc., and then the prompts and stuff. And then so what will happen is that now once those two exist, then you can actually go into, then you'll be able to use an RPC to create an agent instance. And then that will be the thing the idea is that will be the thing that you communicate with. So the agent instance will be the sort of session, if you like.
Where do we have the more complex definition of agent in one? Yeah, you remember
what do you mean?
we had until now we had just a simple agent, right? Simple LLM agent. And we had just a PR which was about to extend the current LLM agent with those sequential parallel loop and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, so and that could still go into
where it will go if I would like to define such an agent, right? I want to have a harness which will be supporting ADK2 graph declarative agents, right? I want to define in one bundle several agents which are connected in the graph. What will be the impact on this? Are we going to have a part of this CR which will be non-structured, allowing like some kind of YAML inside, or it needs to be typed specifically in advance?
So the answer is that for now it will be typed. So this block here will be a one of. So for example,
because in that case, I would like to be part of that group which works on ADK2 graph.
Yeah, let's definitely do it. So what it would look like in that case is something like this, where you would have right? Instead of Claude here, you would have ADK or ADK2, let's say.
Yeah.
And then in here, you would have all of your options, right? So, graph, whatever. And then in your, you would still have your image, right?
Yeah.
And then,
So basically, this part under spec, right, which has a different subset of different harness. This will be growing, right? We will have like ADK
yes.
support. We will have like Claude. We will have
Mhm.
Hermes. I don't know, whatever personal agents and stuff like that, right?
Exactly. And the idea is that you'll grow. So then, right, what you would do is you would essentially be able to add, there'd be some way to attach an agent template, which would have your prompt, your MCP tools, etc. Right? The idea with this is that it's a generic mechanism to attach to any harness. Right? So then you would have an RPC, which would be create agent, and then you would pass in, right, your harness, customer success, and your agent template. Oh, sorry. Citizens issue. Or whatever, like customer issue. And then that would actually create your agent. So your ADK v2 running thing would be returned, that this would return a agent instance which has this information in it. And so
So the agent harness combined with the agent template to create the actual agents today, but allows more flexibility in terms of configuration than the agent CRD today.
Exactly. The idea is that you will, the idea is that, so right now you have different configuration for harnesses, you have different configuration for, so the agent CRD today is literally just ADK,
Just
basically.
one comment until I still remember, right? Do we want to really have only one model? Because in case of agents, sometimes you want to have like coordinator and worker. Workers will be like small model, coordinator is like medium size, stuff like this. So in this case, the model config should be rather like alias or array of models. Right?
So
You can have a default one maybe, but
I think we need to think through this use case. I'm a little worried about, like, let's say that this, you had, so first of all, I think if you're using ADK v2 graphs, maybe you're doing it in YAML, but you're also maybe bringing it in code, right? So I think that like there's two different ways of doing it, and I think like potentially, I think it's a good point of, what do we do if,
you see, we need to keep it kind of simple to the user to understand, right? This definition of template shouldn't be very generic and very abstract. It should be simple. But on the other side, we have those use cases like when I see already like a one single model config. It's a limitation of current agent. If you look on GPT Sol Terra Luna, right? It's a good example. You want probably 3 type of models, and each of them need to go like with a kind of generic selector, right? Which you map to the real model. So you can have like a large, medium, small, or something like this equivalent, and then that model config will be translated into the real one.
so I think that there's this API is very much, optimized for sort of like harness use case, as in like you have something like a Claude Code, but even in Claude Code, right, you might want to use different models for different sub agents.
Yes, obviously, yes. You want to have different different models in every case. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just. Do you have an issue for these API discussions? I would put my comments. At least what I
I'm gonna create
currently
one. I've
see.
just been
Yeah.
extremely busy. But these are all very good. Very good comments. I need to figure out what the multi-agent internal
What we've seen also, like with Bring Your Own, was this thing in the Clarity one. We have this ability to use also additional headers, right? And for example, in Bring Your Own, you don't have this mechanism, and then it's like, it's on the user to implement it.
Yeah, so in terms of BYO, one thing I would like to do is I would love to make it so that we can continue this so that you can access your like in the code, you could say, I want to access this model config, and then it could get injected.
Yeah,
right, or
and then you will read
like
it
that
internally if you want, if you know how.
Right, exactly.
We can, like you said, we can reuse the same prompt template and other stuff, even with Bring Your Own. But then this responsibility of Bring Your Own to read it and use all of those. I think it should apply also to MCP tools and other stuff, so we can pass
100%.
the configuration. Yeah.
So
because
I think there's definitely a question here of what it looks like for, because even in ADK, right, you have an entry point. You have some entry point agent. So I think we need to decide, what it would look like to attach, I guess, maybe multiple agent templates. I don't know. What do you think?
Same way we provided before, like runtime abstractions, like runner, right? We had a runner and something else. We can also give this abstraction of the config loader, right?
I'm thinking about the API now. I think that one's pretty self-explanatory. I think it makes the API quite complicated. So I need to think about it, but it's a good call out, and I'll make sure to integrate it into the design.
Yeah. So these multiple models, then config, which we can use in both cases of declarative and Bring Your Own as a common injector, and supporting all those additional things. Okay. Question.
And the idea is that
with the new, just one question. Maybe it will help to steer the API in the right direction. You mentioned that from Substrate and from this new harness, we can assume that we have agent gateway as a part of the entire solution, right?
Yes.
So do you plan to generate any of the resources? So controller will create additional agent gateway configuration from these templates?
I don't think it'll create agent gateway directly. Maybe, but most likely it will create Substrate resources, which then configure agent gateway instances running that are running there.
The path will be like we create Substrate handles agent gateway.
Okay. Yeah. And it's not like a full agent gateway. I mean, it could be, right? We can create more. Like, what sorts of things are you wondering about?
No. That's for me like a rabbit hole. I'm just trying to say we didn't have it before. Now, since it will be available, I would like to understand the separation of responsibilities. Okay, if agent gateway now responsible for this, and this, And you're saying that we are not directly having access to it. We have access only via, for example, substrate, right? Or maybe we still can use also MCP resources if we want to proxy MCP or not. Or it should be a different agent gateway. Can we
I don't know. We
little
can think
bit
about it. If it's a very common use case, then potentially we can reuse it. Yeah, I mean, we
like
can definitely think about that.
to my just for my understanding, if agent gateway part of the substrate, where exactly physically it's running, and is it supposed to read any CRs, or it will be just hidden inside the substrate controller?
No, it'll be hidden inside of the substrate controller.
Okay, so then it's clear. Then it's not listening for Kubernetes. Then it's not provisioning any of the sources. Okay. So then in
it's
this
doing
case,
a lot more. It's but we
yes,
might
but
have tighter integration for things like MCP, right? Like it just won't be
exactly,
the full
yeah.
Kubernetes deployment mechanism. Yeah.
Yeah, so we will have policies, right, for agents, and potentially you're muted.
No, I spoke because there's someone. I'm in a hotel. Give me one.
Oh, okay. Does anyone else has some questions on this topic? Because I feel like I'm interrogating it. And
Yeah, I have
No,
a
it's
question.
good.
Well, Eitan is back. Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
So you mentioned about the association, like you had a create method, right? Create agent method to create the agent out of the harness and the agent template. How would the user indicate that association?
Yeah, so that'll all be handled for them through the UI if they're using the UI.
But how do you know this harness and this agent template? I want you to create one agent or 5 agent, or because I'm thinking loud here. The agent template can probably be reused by multiple agents, and the harness can potentially be used by way more agents too. Is that not true? Like the one you had, it's called customer success, but I could have a generic cloud code or ADK harness, and then my specific agent could have customer success or maybe customer catalog, customer billing, different agent template that can be using the same harness.
Yep.
like
That's totally
selectors, which are you can
No,
say.
so the way that it would work, Lynn, is basically you would say, I want to create a new agent that uses this harness and this template, and it'll just spin it up for you.
Okay, so how do I indicate I want to create a new agent? Because today I deploy agent's customer resource.
It would be in the UI.
But can I do it through CLI or no?
You could do it through the CLI, yeah.
That would be a customer resource of agent. Do I
No.
do that?
So the difference now is that agents are not, the original agent CRD was a bit of a lie because really it was an agent template. It was like an agent. It wasn't really an agent. It sort of was, but it was a different kind of agent. The type of agent that we're focusing on now, right, is the harness type that has its own session and its own ability to run tools and sub agents and all that other stuff, right? So
you're saying that like it's the same difference when you have deployment and the pod, right? When deployment is just a template and then pod is instance, right? In this case, we have a agent template which is defining the template, right? But then if this agent will be created and it will be like running as an actor, right?
Yes.
Which indication will be for user to know that this is the one, or how I can call it specifically that one?
Yeah, so it'll have a name, right? You'll give it a name, but it won't be a CRD. Because there could potentially be millions of them. So it's equivalent to a session.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
Yeah, so each session will have like actor, which will be kind of isolated instance from derived from the template. But then
so
still,
in the UI,
how you can understand from outside that this is my specific instance, and how you can call it, how this will be happening, like this session protocol, is this will be like a new kind of.
I see. This is what I wanted to mention. I think we're still going to use A2A for now, because I did a lot of research, and two things came up for me. One, we're not really using A2A correctly. There's some things we could do better. Two, A2A over gRPC is pretty good. And three, there's no better options.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Okay. There is another one. I will add another thing because I had a discussion with one of the our internal teams. They are building integration on top of Kagent, which is like Kagent is just providing A2A and runtime. And they have like a separate workflow engine and other stuff, which is like on one of the steps they call agent via A2A. Like this. It's like NA10 or something similar, in-house. And the problem is like if we deprecate A2A, it will have some consequences. So like this deprecation.
So I don't
of
think
A2A,
we're going to deprecate.
Yeah. So that's what I wanted to make sure we are aligned, because it might be the case that it's like there is some development going on, and now like 6 months later,
I do
you have
think we're going
entire.
to change slightly how we use A2A though. I'm going to be honest about that, because we're using it incorrectly.
So is it if
I'll send
I
you the
didn't?
issue.
So is it
Sure.
if I don't specify my harness for my agent template, I would be by default using ADK?
No,
then,
you have to specify a harness.
So it does the agent template has a harness field or selector I could specify which harness I'm going to use for this particular agent template?
There's a set of harnesses that you're allowed to use. Hold on, let me find this issue quickly for.
And how the flow from the UI perspective will look like. Let's say in future we have the new templates and everything, right? Then basically users see a list of templates, clicks on it, right? Like on current Kagent agent list, right? And you will see immediately like a new session started with a new instance.
Yeah, so we need to figure that out, right? We need to figure this stuff out. This is not, so I think, Lynn, the way to think about it is not, again, the two aren't combined on purpose, because technically the idea is that you could bring your agent template to Claude or Codex or OpenClaw or ADK, right? That's the idea. So in that world, right, when you look through your agent templates, right, when you go to create a new agent, you would have to pick one of the harnesses that is available.
Okay, so you only want to combine it at the wrong time when we actually run the agent. I think I got it now. Basically, we're trying to run more agents, so the agents are not constantly running. So it doesn't make sense to have an agent customer resource to always represent them, have them up running.
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
That's why it's the same as the actor template and the actor notion, which you can't using like customer resource to see your actor either.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
But this actor model, you remember at the very beginning when we started Kagent before moving to ADK, we had a hidden concept of team of agents, which we never shown externally, right? But behind the scene, we had like a team of agents, which is supposed to be there, right? And then you can put in one team, you can put multiple agents and they can work together, right, on something. So your chat is actually, you communicate to kind of team of agents. And will something like this be possible with a new model, like kind of channels or group channels or some sort of abstraction from this? I don't know, from A2A, from definition of how we define the interaction and chat, right? That we can have multiple like swarm of agents, team of agents.
So there's a number of questions in there that I want to tease out, right? First off, there's chatting with agents that aren't yourself, right? Chatting with different actors or communicating with different actors. The answer is yes, it will be possible. We need to figure it out because you will need to stamp, like, it's more complicated because you can't just point to an agent, right? You need to stamp an agent instance basically and point to it.
Yeah.
So it's more complicated, but it will definitely be doable. It's another thing we have to figure out in the API. And the second one is an internal team of agents, which is what you were talking about before, right?
Yes. Yes.
So
And
both of which, need to be figured out.
and I'm just trying to move to this topic of when you work with multiple agents, when you have these harnesses, then from the UI point of view, you can think about them that you have like a Slack of agents and stuff like this. If you're familiar what was released by the block, they released it a few days ago, this Buzz tool, right? Like a Slack equivalent, where actually you have multiple agents and people working together. I put a link in the chat. They work together. They have like a common space where you can talk directly to multiple agents. They can answer and have assigned tasks. Each agent is also identifiable to which person it belongs. So you have like a relation between person with a cryptographical key and agent, which is belongs to that person. And they also use some kind of a blockchain for entire communication, so it's traceable. So you can say who did what when. Like every message, every change, every tool call is stored securely. Okay, I'm not saying we need to replicate those things, but I think it's worth just to look into it as a new approach where basically you have a cryptographically verifiable communication in multi-agent system.
Yeah, which we will have because all of these agents will, right? The upside to all these agents being in their own actor is that every agent will have its own identity.
Yeah, exactly. I think we are doing it a bit different way, right? Than because they are doing it probably directly inside their maybe harness or runtime. Yes,
it's not going to be exactly the same.
But for example, these channels, the communication channels, what will be our if let's say we will have like event-based channels or not? Can I subscribe for like read-only mode or a common problem if you have, let's say, several agents working on something and they need to notify the others, right? Can we achieve this in the current model? Like what we discussed before about event-based, right? Like NATS or something where you have internal channels, right? Which agents can use as a...
So we don't have any specific channel-based integrations or not like event-based integrations right now, but I do think we should, it should definitely be something part of our platform.
Could we have some sort of like a gateway where we can connect to agents, those channels?
Let me show you so part of our new architecture is there's going to be an explicit Kagent gateway.
Which is what?
It will be basically this sort of official equivalent. So you know how today the controller and the gateway are kind of the same, and we have a gateway, but we don't really call it a gateway.
Yes. I don't know.
So
we will have another separate. Okay.
We're going to move all of that stuff into a component called gateway. And that thing we can also use for eventing or channels or whatever we want of that.
Yeah, great.
Stuff.
Okay, now it makes sense. Yeah. So basically, because A2A will be going through that gateway and it will be a separate component, it will give us ability to use other than point-to-point communication, right? We can.
Yeah. Exactly. We can do whatever we want in there.
Like typically, I want to subscribe to events. For example, when session starts, when session finish, right? I want to know exactly. Yeah. I want to know when session crashed, when agent, for example, lost access to the LLM, and session is like failed, right? I want to send event to specific topic or somewhere where I can recover it from that state, because agent itself will not be able, actor will not be able to recover, right? And so this is also typically, if you use a pure actor model, like some other languages support that, then basically you have this failover scenario when you have like a parent actor, which is like, creating those childs, then it will be notified when you are failing, right? I think that would be a useful tooling around the protocol maybe, or around the gateway. I don't know where exactly we can place it, but
Yeah, I agreed. I don't know the exact answer yet, but I'm excited about having this component now explicitly, right? That we can use for this sort of feature. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, I think in the past, we treated it like we sort of treated it as all the same and didn't really treat it as a first-class citizen. But I think part of this change is actually treating that thing as a first-class citizen of the system and really making sure that it works properly and that it is able to do the things that we want.
And does it mean that we will get rid of the Nginx, or will it still be there?
Well, the Nginx is just there to proxy. It's not really Nginx,
Yeah,
right?
for
It's
reverse
just
proxy and for different
for
stuff.
the UI. Yeah. Like we could put something else in there, but it's just a static config file. It doesn't really do anything.
Fair enough for now.
Lynn, do you feel like your questions have been answered at all, or no?
I think I roughly know what's going on. So thank you for asking. What's the rough timeline for this? Just curious.
So-
it sounds like a fundamental change to the project, if I'm reading it correctly.
It is. So I think the rough timeline is basically what we're going to do is we're going to tag V010, and then we're going to try and basically this will be like essentially a major version change, right? Because it's a huge change for the product, for the project.
Maybe like another like bigger. I know we're calling like a 0 something, maybe 1 or something.
No, seriously, that's the plan. So I think the idea is to do that, and I also planning to pair it with a big blog explaining all of the API stuff that we just talked about, because it's not like you noticed, it's not super self-explanatory. So I think it'll be important to have like a larger description of like what the changes are, why we think they're so important, and how it brings Kagent into the future.
Yeah, I'm also thinking about the book we have up. There's a chapter for
Just wanted to
update.
say how much you need to rewrite.
Right.
Yeah, the books, the docs. Yeah.
But Ethan, if we can have some internal review before the blog to
Definitely.
add all the feedback, because I
this is not
would like
for right
also
this second.
to have, yeah.
Are you thinking this in the next month or so, or are you thinking like 3 months? I'm just so I can roughly
For the release?
Yeah,
Probably KubeCon.
So before KubeCon.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we probably should plan to update the book as well before KubeCon.
Yeah, we have some dependency, right? So the substrate, for example, they have these milestones like M2 milestone end
Exactly.
of August, right?
Yep.
So by the same time, it means the substrate M2 will be kind of finalized for minimum beta version or something.
Exactly.
And we should have also like end of August approximately this kind of draft of APIs.
Yeah. So Dimitri, just FYI. Oh, sorry, go.
No, go ahead. I just want to ask a follow-up. I can wait after yours.
No, you keep asking follow-ups. I wasn't going to say anything very important.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I understand. So the substrate is releasing major milestone that we could potentially consume, and so we could potentially have builds for people to play with in Kagent maybe early September-ish before we release.
So we have a fork of substrate anyway.
Yeah.
So we will be moving faster than the substrate project does no matter what. But it's also really important that we don't, like, I want to make sure that we're on the same core APIs and functionality, or else it's going to get very complicated, right?
Yes, totally.
So there's a few things that need to happen upstream that I'm working directly with Dima and Lior and like all those folks to make sure that like everything we need gets in. And then we can use that as a shared base for that functionality. And there's supposed to be that milestone release at the end of August.
And they are GA. Is there a GA date also before KubeCon North America too? I remember Dima talk about the GA. Okay. Wow, lots of change coming for sure. I'm glad I joined today's meeting.
Yes, a lot of changes, but it's for the best. Oh, the thing I was going to say to you, Dimitro, is that I think we're actually going to get rid of Redis in favor of Postgres. Because Jet did, I mean, he can talk more about this if he's still here, but he did a whole suite of performance tests, and I think the doc is public. It's in the Substrate channel if you want to look at it. He did a whole suite of performance tests and found that Redis is no better than Postgres, and Redis has weird durability semantics, and nobody knows how to run it durably. So I think we'll actually be able to keep using Postgres.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. For durability, yeah. I think the same was inclusion of temporal. They also mentioned that if you have a durable execution, you can use only like Postgres or Cassandra or something else I forgot.
Yeah, Redis is fake.
Yeah, but it's interesting, yeah.
So a lot of changes coming, but a lot of good changes. I'm really excited. And yeah. So a lot of work.
Just maybe something unrelated, still if we have a few minutes, just a question regarding the LLM observability. Does anyone using LangFuse or familiar with LangFuse? Or what are you using for LLM like observability on your projects?
We use Agent Gateway.
Okay. And if you need like a place where you collect some evals and other, like is this
our enterprise has that stuff? That's what. So
okay.
Maybe that's not the answer that you wanted, but that's what we use.
I just discovered that many folks they using this LangFuse as a backend for their open telemetry. They put everything there, and it has like a ClickHouse as a backend and some kind of Next.js UI on top with some queries that you can see your sessions, your agents, dashboards, and some evals.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, I think as an open source option, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's quite popular. Yeah.
One of them was LangFuse the one that got bought by
ClickHouse? Probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Ada, are you going to open a GitHub issue for the design change so other people can read offline as well? Okay, perfect. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. I was really hoping to get there's a PR out for cron jobs in Kagent that I was really hoping to get out, but it's not quite working. So I might have to hold off. Unfortunately. And just do the release first. Anyway, cool. Alrighty. I gotta head out a few minutes early, I think.
Yeah, just Ethan, please
Yeah.
try keep me in the loop for that API. I would like to look on this EDK2 graph design, and
Yep.
in general, we can have maybe follow up. I will also discuss it internally. We'll have with our team, and then give you some feedback.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I'll send, like I said, once that design doc is done, I'll post it.
You can send me also this Obsidian MD if there is something like draft. Before,
with the
or
vault.
just attach it.
Yeah, I can send that on Discord. Here, let me just do that.
Great.
Oh,
Or put it in the
You
notes.
mixed it.
I don't know. You can just drop it in the notes as attachment.
I'm a little bit worried that there's stuff. There's like might be internal
then-
stuff in this still, so
sure.
I just have to scrub it once before I post it.
Either way will work. Yeah. Cool. Thank you all.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.